My apologies, guys, if you just joined me. I hear we've been having some sound difficulties, which is unfortunate. Hopefully you all can hear me now. If you can't, feel free to throw something in the chat box and we'll look to kind of get that sorted. Yeah, how are we looking? Much better. All right, we're back on track. So hopefully you caught at least a little bit of that. If not, again, please listen to my first live chat with Harry where we talked a lot about the co-op program. The link is in the description directly below you, so it's very easy to find. Just jumping in here, what you see on screen here is a snapshot of our current sponsors. As you can see, pretty much across all the major industries that we have co-op sponsored scholarships in, the top companies you can see there. So right through from some of the top government industries, RBA, New South Wales government, all the way through to the high finance and accounting, Deloitte, PwC, JP Morgan, right through to management consulting, banking, and then into more exotic or interesting companies from marketing and McDonald's or Porto, companies like that. I myself worked at Origin Energy for my first placement, then I worked at PwC, and I finished my placements at BOQ or Bank of Queensland. So I was able to get a really diverse experience, which was an absolutely fantastic way for me to learn a lot more about the industry and the different roles that are on offer in the course that I do. So once again, first hangout, link is in the description. Obviously you can't click on the link right now, but please check out the description if you want to learn a little bit more about the co-op program. Now I'm going to move on to more the application process and how you can get ahead. Hopefully for those of you that are watching, you're already keen on the co-op program and you're really looking to apply and looking to get a few of those tips that can help drive your application to the top of the pile. So first things first, have you registered? If you learn nothing from this presentation, it is one of two things. Firstly is that you must register now and you must assign your school administrator, which I'll explain in a little bit in about 5 minutes. But this is probably the most important step, is actually getting onto the website and registering. It's extremely easy. Just Google UNSW Co-op Program and it'll be the first link. Apply will be on the toolbar above. It's very basic. When you're applying, make sure that you're aware if you're applying for any Faculty of Engineering or rural scholarships, and make sure you click that box. I myself didn't because I'm not interested in engineering or rural scholarships, not being from a rural background, and I do information systems. So my profile that you guys will see will not have that, but if that's something that interests you, make sure you click those boxes. So we'll jump now onto my own profile. As you can see here, sorry, this is still the standard one. When you sign up, you must put your UAC number in. If you signed up before you had a UAC number, that's also allowed, but really make sure that you update your profile with your current UAC number. That's kind of your own unique identifier in the system too, so make sure that's accurate. Cool, jumping straight into the application. We'll flick back to my application now because it is mine, it's my favorite. So you can see here that I've completed a little bit, but not all. Hopefully we can complete some of these activities today, or I can walk you through the system. As you can see, it's a pretty simple layout for you guys to use and to navigate around. On the left, you can see my application homepage, and then profiles, updating your personal details and your education background, where you went to school. And then, of course, all these ticks and crosses indicating what you've completed and what you haven't completed. It should be relatively intuitive to use. Once you click, I have completed it, yes, then that tick or that cross will become a tick. So you can get a really good appreciation for how you work your way through the application. So I won't go through contact details and personal details because they're pretty easy. Most websites have them, you would have been familiar. But supporting documentation and the bit below this is really important. The first one, assigning a photo. I cannot stress enough the importance of getting a photo up here. It just enables us, when we go through your application, to understand who we're talking to, so that when we see you either at the open day or at the interview days, we know we can put a match to the photo and to the application process. So make sure it's a nice photo, make sure it's kind of professional and it's something that you want us to see. But yeah, make sure there is a photo. And then of course, the bit below, which is nominating your school documentation, your school's careers advisor. Now, it's pretty easy, especially if your school's on the list. We try to recommend the most suitable person. For me, as a Gosford High alumni, that was the careers advisor you just saw there, but there's no reason for you to stick to that. If you would prefer, you can fill out an alternate position, name, position, and email. Keep in mind that it's best for these roles to be somebody of kind of importance in your school, careers advisor, year advisor, principal or deputy principal, someone who knows you and someone who can kind of reflect on that in the best way. And get on that as soon as possible, because there is quite a significant amount of work that needs to be done by your chosen teacher or high school representative, and it can't be done on the 28th or the 29th of September, a day before the application process. So if you're watching this video, awesome, it shows that you're keen. If you haven't done that, then simply once you finish this video, once you get bored of me, make sure you follow those 2 steps absolutely tonight. Register and provide your student or your school representative, if nothing else. Keep in mind as well that they might have more than one student to do, so you want to give them as much time as they can to make sure you come across in the glowing light. Okay, that is the 2 most important things, registering and getting your school representative right. The next one will move down into program preferences. Keep in mind that you can choose 3, that's changed from recent years, and we've got the full list here. But I'd caution you against choosing 3 if you're not truly committed to 3. You can choose up to, but you absolutely do not need to include 3. You can only include 1 if you'd prefer, if there's only 1 scholarship that really interests you. The reason we say that is because we hope that you would tweak your application to fit the particular preference that you're interested in. For example, if you're interested in a finance co-op scholarship and also a mechanical engineering co-op scholarship, you might find it challenging to talk about in the application process both of those very wildly different fields. So really have a strong think about the types of things that you're interested in, the types of programs that you want to do, and ideally the careers that you want to follow, at least in the first few years of your degree, and make sure that those preferences really align to what you want and not necessarily what anybody else is telling you to do. Of course, I cannot stress this enough, make sure to press save after you finish, otherwise you will lose your preferences just like any other website, and that would be really annoying. And that goes as well for anything you write in these free text fields. I cannot say this enough. Please get the questions from this website and then go into Word documents and formulate your responses in Word documents. You'll find it a lot safer just in case anything goes wrong technically, and also allows you a little bit more flexibility in the formatting and reviewing process that you might undergo later on, or with your friends, with your family. It's easier to show them a Word document than it is to kind of show them this system. So moving on now, I guess, straight down into the application questions. So we did program preferences here. Now for more of the meaty application questions, you can just click into each one. Very simple. With co-curricular activities, as you type, you will see the list show up. So for debating, World Schools debating team and debating is here. Don't fret if your activity/position is not in the list. You can free type that a little bit lower. So if you're worried about that, don't be, but absolutely type a mixture. Say you wanted to talk about the Australian Debating Championships and you typed in Australian and it didn't come up, you could just go down and click debating as opposed to that, which will come up and make it a little bit more easier. Make sure you fill in all of these fields as well. Again, make sure you copy paste these questions into Word and do these questions in Word. It will save you a lot of time and heartache, especially if you lose the data or the half-written responses, which would be really crushing. It happened to me. I was not very happy, so don't fall into that trap. If you've applied for rural, you will see it down here. I myself haven't, so I haven't, sorry, not down here. You'll see it down here. I haven't applied for rural because, again, I'm not a rural student, so you won't see those questions, but if you are, then that's where they'll be. And you can see the ticks and crosses here as you mark them complete. To do so, simply tick yes, save, back to application questions, and it's got a tick there. The next bit that I really want to stress is the browser factor. This website system is built for Internet Explorer, so it works best with Internet Explorer. 90% of the technical issues that we have on this website, or complaints from students trying to apply from this website, can be solved by simply using a different browser. So if you're on Chrome, on Safari, on Firefox, and you've got problems, feel free to try Internet Explorer. I know it's a lot of people's not preferred browsers, but it'll work for the purpose of co-op, and trust me, applying for co-op is worth spending a little bit of time on Internet Explorer. Alrighty, now moving down into educational questions. That's not what I wanted. That's okay. So as you can see, it's a really easy website to kind of navigate around. It's not too hard. In here is your referees, people you want to put down, and then you can, of course, preview your application. So I guess the big tips for me, and the reason that I hope you guys are here, is to ensure that you are absolutely applying early, and applying with giving yourself, I guess, the best chance for you to really come across well in the application process. These things take time, of course, and often, for me especially, it was the first time where I'd really had to talk about my own achievements in a positive light, and it took me a little while to get over that kind of boasting element. But if you don't talk about it, then we don't know about it, and we really, really can't put any effort or energy into accepting you on those bases. So if you have something that's really important or really cool, I think shows off the types of skills that we look for in a co-op scholar, which, if you don't remember, I talked about last month. Make sure you include that. And there's plenty of different ways for you to get that message across. But if you don't put it in your application, we don't know about it and we can't judge that. So the two most important ones, which you can see on the top left here, register as soon as possible, make a start, understand what the questions are, even if you don't start your application process immediately, just to have a think, and also complete your schools assessment as quickly as possible. The next tip that I would give is to review as much as you can, get your friends, your family to read over your application process. Anybody you trust, teachers at schools, can help you along with that process, and make sure you proofread it. So we just had a question which is really good. How did you prep for the interview? And again, what was the interview like? When you get, if you are lucky enough to get into the interview process, the big one that's really handy is that it's a 2-day process. The first day is not your formal interview. It's learning a little bit more about the co-op program, a little bit more about what is going to happen the next day, which enables you to feel a little bit more prepared. But definitely that's not enough. The big one for me that I went through, I'll put it onto me, hey, so we can all see. The big one that I went through was learning a little bit more about the STAR method: situation, task, answer or analysis, and response. And that talks a little bit about how to frame stories that really show off you in the best light. And that's a really cool framework that's relatively simple to learn. It's not too technical and not too challenging to come across, that really helps you not waffle on. And I'm sure if you've listened to this video enough already, you know I have a tendency to do that. So the STAR methodology is really helpful in bringing that back and keeping answers concise, but also making sure that you cover everything you need to cover. So that would be my number one tip. My second tip would be dressing clothes you like and that you feel confident in. Spray your nice aftershave, cologne, perfume, whatever's going to make you feel more confident on the day. And to get there early, and the reason that I say dress nice or dress comfortably and get there early is so that you can enter the room relaxed, not too stressed, not too tense, and really that enables you to show off all that it is about you that's great. And there are so many things I'm sure that are great that we would love to see, but if you don't show those, we don't know about them. So being able to go into the room relaxed, comfortable in your own skin, and happy to talk about yourself and confident, then that will be probably the number one thing that you can do to really succeed in the interview.
Educational background?
Yeah, so educational background is in your application process. It's online as well. You should find out as you go through the steps. The big one here, sorry, just to jump around a little bit, is that every single box needs to be filled out or else the form won't be complete. This can be very tricky. I'll show you on the website. Purely because, here it is, sorry, my apologies. Purely because it can be a little bit annoying, especially if you didn't take that all the way through to year 12. Say you only did, like I did, a subject that you dropped at the end of year 11, then you really have to make sure that you put a dash in all of your year 12 results, like so. Say I took engineering, I actually took that to year 12, but say I took that to year 11, and then I would fill in blah, blah, blah here, and then dashing for the rest of it. Which is a really important skill or really important thing to remember when you're actually applying for this. And then you can simply work through the results in your own time down here. This is your UAC preference, and then of course any degrees or programs you're currently enrolled in. Your high school, I of course went to Gosford High, as I mentioned earlier, but there's a full list down here, so you should find your own list, your own high school on that list, and then talk about your HSC equivalent year. The reason that these questions come up is because co-op programs offered to both students who are just coming out of high school and also students who have taken a gap year. So if that falls under you, then there are some little quirks or little things that you need to consider, which is fine. But yeah, that's why that's there.
Is there anything specific that you did feel helped you most with your application?
Yeah, absolutely. So with me, the question was, is there anything specific that helped with my application? And it definitely was. The one big thing that I had to learn how to do was talk about myself. It wasn't something that I felt comfortable doing. I felt very arrogant and cocky doing that. So taking enough time and really thinking about what I wanted it to say and what the things that I'd done that really showed off the skills I was looking to show off. In my own mind, A, thinking about it, but B, also talking to anybody that would listen about it. So my mum and dad got an absolute earful. My girlfriend got an earful. My teachers got an earful about what I'd done or what I thought that I might be able to put down on there, and whether or not that was the absolute best thing that I could talk about. And I tried to only really use one example for each thing. I didn't want to muddle responses because you don't have a lot of time, especially with character limits, not word limits. Be careful of that. You don't really have a lot of time to go into a lot of depth. So I wanted to get the absolute best example that I'd done from my own life and from the many things that I've been able to do when I was, up to year 10, year 11, year 12, even year 9 and 8. What it was that enabled me, or that would enable me, to show off the skills that I wanted to show off, and which activity was it particularly that you wanted to do. The point there, I guess, is to focus on quality rather than quantity. We want to hear more about one particular situation in a great amount of analysis. Tell us what you've learned from it, what skills that really highlighted, and how you had an impact in that scenario, as opposed to just listing all the different things that you've done. If you do that, that will come across a lot better. So that's why it's really important to nail that one that you want to talk about, because there is a bit of opportunity cost there. So make sure that you're aware, or that you've thought about it, and it's not just something that you came up with on the night of the 29th, I suppose. Which leads me fantastically onto my next point, fantastic segue, Harry, which is the scholarship timeline. Of course, applications are open. I hope you guys already know that. And they close on the 30th of September. Like I said earlier, this is not an application that you can do on the 29th. If you do that, you probably have shot yourself in the foot and also the face. You simply just cannot talk about the things you need to talk about. The schools cannot do the paperwork in time to get it done if you want to start that late. So if you're watching this, fantastic. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. At least register and set your school's careers advisor if you haven't done that already, and then start thinking about the application process as early as you possibly can. Because on the 2nd of September is our UNSW Open Day, which is an absolutely fantastic opportunity for you, for you guys to come down to learn a little bit more about UNSW, not just the co-op program. We have a stall there, but there will also be a bunch of other activities and kind of offers or things on offer, tours around the different faculties, a little bit more information on what courses we offer and how that would look like in a day-to-day, get to chat to current students, even a few professionals will be down here, which is a fantastic way to see UNSW. If nothing else, there's some free stationery and usually some free lollies floating around, so we can bribe you down here. But again, the UNSW Co-op Program has a stall here. You will have in the co-op lounge, which is really cool. It's a really cool place for you guys to sit down if you get tired legs and relax and listen or ask the questions that you haven't had a chance to ask yet. Hopefully you've asked some questions today, but if not, come on down then, talk to us. There'll be current scholars. There'll also be people on the paperwork side of things and on the application process who can answer those kind of questions. And it's a really good way for you guys to get a little bit more information about who we are and also about this fantastic university. Cool. So this last part, I guess, is just to answer any more questions that we may have had. I don't think we've had any more since they've come through, which is fantastic. Hopefully we've covered most of your kind of Options, here are just some FAQs that we often get. The first one, dual degrees. Really, no co-op programs struggle to offer dual degrees, and the reason for that is quite logical. It's because if we are sending someone out to industry, after 2 years, we expect them to have 2 years of relevant university knowledge. If they've done, say, information systems like I did, partnered with law, and I've done a bunch of law subjects, that's not really going to be helpful in my job. So being able to really come into the program, your work placements with the absolute maximum academic knowledge you can have will go a long way, and it's really important. The next point is around deferring. Unfortunately, we do not offer deferring offers purely because, again, the sponsors are expecting people to start when they're expected to start. And that goes as well with gap years. If you do take a gap year, fantastic, but you must apply before you want to start uni. Again, with other scholarships, we offer it with conscientious scholarships and the AAA, but check your criteria depending on the type of scholarship that you're offering or that you're looking into. And again, with bonus points, we do not offer bonus points up to that 96 ATAR, which is the minimum academic requirement, unless they're EAS or Educational Access Scheme bonus points, things that you may get. Things that you guys may get. So, for example, being 5 or 6 in English won't apply for that. So the question that we just had was, what kind of skills are the best way to highlight or emphasize? Really, the best way I can answer that, I know it sounds really mean, but is to look at the last video. I talked a lot about that, about 10 minutes, about the types of things that we're interested in and the application process. But really, I guess to summarize, it's about looking for people who have a strong academic ability, but go beyond that and really demonstrate excitement and engagement in the local community and a real passion for improving themselves and the lives around them. So the types of skills or the buzzwords that we look for is motivation, passion, commitment, and the ways that you can demonstrate that are vast. For me, it was doing Duke of Ed, it was volunteering at the local football club in a coaching capacity, I was taking on a few leadership roles while I was in high school. Just the types of things that say, hey, I am a student, I like to do well in school, I'm capable of doing well in school, but I'm also a lot more than that. And there's a lot of things about me that I like to do, and I like to be busy, and I like to manage my time well. So roughly the statistics, they change every year, of course, because we do not have a ticker box. There is no formula that any co-op must fill or a shape that we put them through a printer and outspits a co-op scholar. But traditionally around 60% or 2/3 worked part-time and volunteered in some combination. About 1/3 were traditionally school captains or in the debating teams. But there are just so unbelievably diverse range of co-op scholars currently, and hopefully in the future as well. We love diversity. We think it's really important because diverse backgrounds equals diverse ideas and diverse futures, which is what we want, and it's really fantastic. So the types of skills that we're looking to see, I've just highlighted them. Again, watch the video I made last month to learn a little bit more about the ways to demonstrate that. There are so many, I can't really specify one. Cool. Alrighty, since we've got no more questions, we might end the stream there. Thank you guys very much for listening. Of course, my name's Harry from the UNSW Co-op Program. We hope to see your applications soon. If you missed this stream, you're watching this later, or you didn't get a chance to ask the question you want to ask, we're having another one in about a month, which you'll see. Sorry?
13th of September.
13th of September, I've just been told. And I will be doing that one again, and that'll give you a really good chance to ask any more questions that you may have up until then. And that's about 2 weeks before the application's closed, so hopefully you're looking to finalise your responses by then and asking those really nitty-gritty questions. Fantastic, guys. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for listening.